Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Mike Francesa podcast on the Mike Francesa channel, on the Bet Rivers Network, on YouTube. So we come to you on Sunday evening after a sudden death playoff decides the Masters in what was really a roller coaster round. You know, we set the scene last night. Who would be the chasers? The last two, and then obviously the matchup between Rory McIlroy, who everyone was waiting to see finally break through and win a major again after 11 years and win the green jacket so that he completed the Grand Slam and finally put all this craziness behind him that has been going on now for over a decade. It had been 38 majors since he won one, and he lost in a variety of fashions. And we did not get although it looked like we would early, after two holes, you had DeChambeau in front, and you thought, wow, this really came apart for Rory early. Rory battled back, looked like he was in complete command. I mean, DeChambeau's done. Couldn't handle the greens today. He said afterwards they were much faster than they were the rest of the week. Maybe that was it. He had distance control with his irons all week. A big problem again today. He went in the water twice today, on 11, on 13. He put up no fight. Rory looked like he was going to coast home. This was going to be a boring last 2 hours. And then he gets to 13, which you know he can overpower, hit a drive, and then hit an iron in because he's hit such a good drive. Because Rory, the one thing he can do, whether you are a critic of his, and I have been very much a critic of his, or not, he is a great, pure driver of the golf ball. He can always do that. And that's what won him this tournament. But he decides to lay up and play safe, which was what everyone figured was a reasonable way to play 13. Why fool around with the water and get yourself in trouble? That's the only way you can bring anybody back in this tournament, is to get yourself in trouble and hit the ball in the water. So he lays up, he puts the ball in a perfect spot. He's got a 70-yard wedge for a third shot to basically, set up a short birdie putt. You figure a guy like him is going to do it 99 times out of 100. And what does he do? He hits the worst wedge you've ever seen in your life in the water. I mean, you're like, you got to be kidding me. And then he hits a now he finds himself losing again, because for a second, Rose took the lead, and then Rose blew a putt that would have, on 17, that would have given him a lead. Then he had a three-way tie with Oberg for a second, and Rory and Rose, but Rory still had 15 to play. So, if he hits a big drive on 15, he can hit a nice second shot into the green. He hits a 207-yard iron perfectly, leaves himself an 8-foot putt to put the tournament away with an eagle. Of course, he misses the putt because Rory misses most big putts when he has to make one. And he keeps the tournament alive. And then, of course, he gets to 18. He's got a one-stroke lead after hitting another absolutely brilliant iron shot on 17 after a good drive. And he has himself a, tap-in bird. He taps it in. Now he's got the lead. 18, what does he do? Hardest driving hole on the course, very narrow. Very, very narrow. And Rory didn't drive it great today. Not like he drove it the last couple of days. What does he do? Hits a great drive. Leaves himself 125 yards. Just put it on the green. Put it in the middle of the green, 2-putt, and away you go. Coronation. He puts the ball in the bunker. Doesn't have a hard bunker shot. Leaves himself 5 foot and misses the putt. This is an all-time roller coaster. He hit great shots to set up very, very makeable putts. And then he found a way to gag it up time after time after time. Now he's in a playoff, hits a great drive. Rose almost holed the second shot. I mean, it almost went in. Left himself with about a 10-footer. Almost made it, didn't. Taps in. And Rory, of course, from this 125 the second time, left himself a tap in. And the only way, and listen, this just is a fact. The only way Rory's winning a big tournament with his putter is if he's tapping it in because he doesn't make big putts. You saw that again today. He just doesn't make big putts when they're on the line. And, he is at his best when he's got his driver in his hands, and he's at his second best when he's got his irons in his hands. When he has got a wedge or a putter in his hands, he's not as good. Although in this course this week, his wedge is pretty good. But again, there's no explaining the wedge he hit on 13. Absolutely no explaining it. It was one of the gag shots of all time. So was the putt he missed on 18. So was the approach he hit on 18. All he had to do was hit on the green. He couldn't do it. I felt bad for Rose because Rose, who yesterday actually missed a million short putts, missed some unbelievable short putts. Led the first day, led the second day, fell out of it yesterday, shot a 75, goes out today, shoots a 66, makes a great putt on 18 to put the pressure on Rory, which winds up in a playoff. Everybody in Augusta is rooting against him. Now, he and Rory are old friends, obviously, Ryder Cup. He's not Rory's closer to Lowry than he is to Rose, but still, they're buddies. Rose is a very classy guy and a very classy player. Showed up great today. I mean, really did an incredible job. Made the tournament in the last 2 hours. Gamely fought into a playoff. Hit a really great, he's going to get outdriven by Rory. He did by 37 yards. He's got a 157-yard shot. He almost holed it. And instead misses the putt. And Rory gets his green jacket. So now Rory has accomplished what he has been trying to accomplish for a very long time. And that is win Augusta, but also complete the Grand Slam. A lot of guys outside of golf probably haven't thought about this very much. There aren't that many guys who have won all 4 majors. Now, the Grand Slam is to win all 4 majors in the given calendar year. That's the Grand Slam. Okay, that's an insane achievement. One that is just virtually impossible. But this is something they've come up with where the guys who have won all 4 of the Grand Slam events, it's a who's who of golf and a lot of great players, including Sam Snead and Tom Watson, Lee Trevino, Arnold Palmer, Phil Mickelson, who did win the U.S. Open and, had time and opportunity and time, led it on 18. Led on 18 by a stroke and threw it away. Finished second, time after time, but never won all 4. So winning all 4 has become this achievement, and everyone has dwelled on this since Rory has been trying to add the Masters to his list 11 years ago. He had failed 11 times at winning this tournament. Actually, he had not even won another major. A lot of people thought that when Rory put together his run between 2011 and 2014, that he was going to win 10, 15 majors. That was the forecast. They thought he was going to be on that level. He just ended an 11-year drought trying to win a major. He hadn't won a major since 2014. That's finally over with his capturing the Masters today, which you clearly see was a very emotional victory for him and a very popular victory. I mean, the announcers have been outwardly rooting for him. And I think one of the big reasons is because he didn't go to live. Not that Rory's not popular. And somebody had to fill the void with no Tiger and no Phil. And also overcome the fact that so many guys have gone to live. They call Scheffler robotic. I think Scheffler's game, can be compelling. He's made some great late runs. He tried to get the engine started today. Hasn't been his year so far. He very frustratingly missed a lot of makeable birdie putts the last 2 days, but he didn't hit the ball with the same authority, the same crispness that he has in winning, around the world and winning at Augusta, in 2 of the last 3 years. The bottom line is he hasn't been the same player this year and hasn't won yet this year. I did not think he'd win this week. Am I surprised he finished 4th? No. Did he play well for him? No. He played well for mere mortals, but he's better than that. He's been the best player in the world in the last couple of years. Now, we can all debate whether he's the most exciting player in the world. Most people will tell you he's not. DeChambeau is exciting. He played terribly today. There are some other guys who play with a flair. Rory, to me, is a very talented player. I don't think he's ever been an out and crazy exciting player. He does hit the ball a long way, but he basically ignores his surroundings completely during a match. So I never thought of him in that vein, but he is a very talented player. And, you know, like I said, incredibly popular since he has been the spokesman for the PGA and is the guy who didn't take the money. I think that's what's made him so popular here with the American announcers more than anything else. And he's supposed to be a very good guy. I've never met him, so I don't know. But he finally got his major. It wasn't easy. I mean, he tried to throw it back with both hands a couple of times. Oberg made a charge, got to where he actually was tied with a couple of holes to go. He went after that putt on 17. He had about a 30-foot putt on 17. He went after it, and he went after it too aggressively, left himself a 10-foot comebacker, missed it, and then had a terrible 18. He was 3 over. He got a 7 on 18, which didn't matter. His tournament was over. He showed you he is going to be a great player. I don't think there's any question. Was in contention this year, finished second last year. He is going to be a factor every single major. He's got a great game and could be the next great player. I mean, he's reminds me of Ernie Els. I mean, he reminds me kind of a cross between Ernie Els and Adam Scott a little bit, but more Ernie Els. Effortless, beautiful swing, stoic, but goes about his business and seems to play with just an effortless efficiency. Patrick Reed stunned the way he played. You think about it, he missed 2 really short putts on 15 and knocked himself down to 7 under. If he had been 9 under, which he should have been, on 17, he holds it from the fairway for an eagle. He could have been 11 under. So he had his chances. Scheffler really never engaged. He finished 8 under. He had a couple of chances to go 9 under, but he never made the putt that he had to make and was never really – he was on the periphery. His name was there on the leaderboard, but he was never a forward factor. I felt bad for Rose for this reason. He's out there in this sudden death, and nobody's rooting for him. Nobody's rooting for him. So, I mean, and I thought he had put up an incredible effort to shoot a 75 yesterday after leading the first 2 rounds. Really have a nightmarish round yesterday and come back the way he did today with birdie after birdie after birdie. He missed a short birdie putt on 17, which could have won him the tournament because he turns around on 18 and makes a birdie from like 15, 18 feet to put the pressure on Rory. And Rory, of course, can't get up and down out of the bunker and has to go to sudden death, but then hit a great drive and then hit the kind of shot he needs to hit to win the tournament, which is take the putter out of his hands. Hit an iron so good that it comes back and lands 2.5 feet from the hole, and you just got to knock it in, which is what he did. Strange. Nobody else played that well today other than Rose. It was a roller coaster ride. Rory twice gave up the lead. Give him credit for battling back. He hit some amazing shots. His 207-yard iron on 17 was on 15 was a great shot. His shot on 17 from I think 174 was a great shot. His shot on 18 in sudden death in the playoff was a great shot. He hit some amazing, amazing shots. He made some big drives when he had to. And like always, he made some shots that have you shaking your head. He has a habit of just imploding during these rounds. And he did again today. And you're saying to yourself, wow, is he going to blow this tournament? And I mean, it's going to be one for the ages if he blows this tournament. But he didn't. And now they have their Rory has his green jacket. Everyone seems to be happy. And now he has his wins in all four majors and joins that very illustrious group of all-time legends, with the modern guys being Nicklaus and Player and, of course, Tiger Woods, who have done that. And remember, there's a lot of great players, including Snead and Nicholson and Mickelson and Palmer and go down the list, Watson, Trevino, who have never done that. There aren't a lot of guys who have done it, and now he has done it. It hadn't been done in a long time. And now he finally has something that has been his goal for a long time, which is a green jacket. He wanted one forever. It had been something that was kind of a point of frustration with him. He also had to hear about how many times was he going to come and people were going to pay. It became kind of a running joke with these guys would be picking him to win the major every time, and he'd lose, which he did 38 majors in a row. And they're still picking him and picking him and picking him. And they were picking him this week. I mean, he's played well this year. He's won tournaments this year. He's won big tournaments this year. So he's played well this year. He's played better this year. And Brad Faxon seems to have made a difference with his putting. His putting's more complete. It's not great. I don't think it's ever going to be great, but it was better. It was better. And his wedge game was better than it has been. But he had a wedge in this performance that was so befuddling. If he had lost, he would have been examining it forever. He also had 4 double bogeys. You're not supposed to win the Masters with 4 double bogeys. But it shows you how many good shots he hit at other times, how many great drives, how many great iron shots that he hit at other times to be able to overcome 4 double bogeys, which he had in the competition, which usually would mean you'd be without the jacket for at least another year. So Rory gets his green jacket, which, like I said, makes all the golf aficionados happy. He winds up beating Rose, who was every bit the statesman, every bit the gentleman in defeat. Good performances by an Elder Reed, a very good performance by Bubba Watson. A couple of notables. Scheffler finished 4th. Im and DeChambeau finished 5th. Oberg came next, then Schauffele. Zach Johnson played well. Day played well. Connors, his driving ability, his iron play, superb. His putting and his play around the green leaves something to be desired. Max Homa really came bouncing back with 4 under performance. John Rahm made the cut and wound up 3 under. 3 under today. Spieth, Hatton, Morikawa 3 under. McCarty 3 under. Matsuyama shot 6 under today and finished 2 under for the tournament. Fleetwood always seems to be under par. He was again for this tournament at 3 under par. And Victor Hovland 2 under, and that's about it. So on we go. Next stop. The next 2 months are really, to me, the essence, the height of the golf season. To me, the golf season is from the week before Augusta to the U.S. Open. That is, to me, the height of the golf season. That is when you can pay the most attention to it. This year, you do have the Ryder Cup here in Bethpage. It's going to be very interesting. So it's going to keep things alive here. And that's going to be, like I said, very interesting here. The Americans want to bounce back. They're made for this course because this is a long hitters course. Keegan Bradley's the coach. So that's going to be very interesting. Played in our backyard here. We'll do a lot with that. We will get ready for the NBA playoffs, which are right around the corner. So we'll be previewing that this week. A couple things on baseball. Number one, Yankees lose today. Lose 2 out of 3 to the Giants. I picked the Giants as an over. They're off to a good start at 11-4. Cincinnati's back to 500. They had gotten off to a pretty rotten start. Luckily, they got the Buccos this weekend. Got them back to 500. I picked them as an over. Also, the Yankees starting pitching is a big problem right now. We've talked about it. It's a really big issue. They don't have enough arms. And the arms they do have are really not getting the job done. We know they can score, especially at home. They lose 2 out of 3 to the Giants. They have the Royals coming in. Then they go down to Tampa for 4, which is like going home because they're going to play in their minor league complex, in their spring training complex down in Tampa, where this year, that's where the Rays are playing, as you know, and they're making sure the Rays schedule is done in such a way that they'll be out of there in the dead of summer a lot of times so that they won't play that many games in the dead of summer. So they'll give them a lot of games early in the season, a lot of games late in the season, and not as many games where they would get the searing heat of the summer in Tampa. So that's the plan to get them through this season. Nobody's gotten off fast in the American League. So the Yankees are fine at 8-7. They're going to be in it all the way. They're not built to run and hide. That's all there is to it. But they do have major issues with the starting pitching. There's no way around it. I mean, Stroman, we know, who's going to the shelf, is not the answer. I'm not a Rodon fan. They have no choice. He's got to be there, but I'm not a fan of his. And they don't have a lot behind Fried. That's all it is right now. And not so many teams can overcome the injuries they have. But this is something that's going to have to be addressed and may mean dipping down and giving guys a shot to come up here and see if they can give you 5 innings. We know the back of the pen's got to be better. We understand that. We know the big man you brought in here has got to be exceedingly better. We know that, okay? But we know they can score a lot of runs. The pitching, though, has got to improve. It can't get much worse. The Mets won today in Sacramento. The big thing about that was, more than anything else, if you're looking for, and the A's are, let's be honest, they're not dreadful, but they're not highly competitive. That's all there is to it. I mean, not when you're talking about the Mets. But Senga is going to be a big key. See, the Mets downplayed the whole Senga thing, which was smart. We're not going to build him up. We're not going to dump a ton of responsibility on him. Just let it unfold. Well, you've seen it unfold already. 7 innings today. Okay. He can be what you want. He can be that fixture at the top of the rotation. He's got that kind of ability, and that's a big positive. Seeing Vientos knocking a couple of runs, positive. Just small steps for him right now as he tries to build it up. I know the sort of thing is going to take on a little bit of a life of its own as each day goes by. Would I worry about it? I told you I wouldn't. Do I acknowledge, and I have acknowledged, that he could be pressing? Hey, anyone looks to justify any kind of record-breaking pact. And like I addressed, there are responsibilities. There are things he has to undertake and feel responsible for that he did not have to do with the Yankees. He serves a different role here. Here, okay, In the Mets motion picture, he's the leading man. His name's above the title. It wasn't that case with the Yankees. He shared top billing. And actually, his billing was number 2. And it was a perfect, seamless fit inside that pinstripe. Okay, he was very comfortable there, very comfortable in that role, very comfortable in that lineup, very comfortable in that 1-2 position with Judge, which made them the best 1-2 punch in baseball, very comfortable at Yankee Stadium, very comfortable with everything that it offered. He decided to take the biggest contract and go across the street, but it meant different responsibilities. His name's above the title. He's responsible for everything, including team performance, including even what the attendance does. Every part of this is something he's got his hand in now. That's what happens when you're the leading man. And when you take on the role of being the leading man. And he did that. Does that suit his personality? We'll see. Does it put pressure on him? Absolutely. Now, the team's playing fine. So that's not an issue. They got off fast at the gate. We'll see Friday night as they come home and get the Redbirds. There's been a big, the owner was very unhappy, especially with what he was spending, in how poor the attendance was in the early parts of last year. And it was. It kicked in late, but now it has kicked in a big way. All that part of this whole plan and whole scenario of what they built and what they brought in and what they decided to do. But he can't, there's nowhere for him to go to hide. There's nowhere where anyone will be a bigger story than he will be. It just doesn't work that way. He's the guy now. And that's just the way it works. And with that comes, the attention that he will get. And the early season numbers are not Soto-like. All right. Like I said, it's only a handful of games. And the team itself isn't having a problem. So as long as that happens, it's not a big deal. It really isn't. Okay. The Mets are off to a good start in a tough division. Now, nobody expected this out of the Braves. So you take advantage of it. Philly's going to be good. You expected the Braves to be good. The question is, how badly do the Braves bury themselves before they right the ship? Okay. The West is obviously exceedingly strong. San Diego's off very well. I'm not sure that holds, and I'm not sure it holds economically. So that remains to be seen how that plays out on a variety of levels, or on the field and off the field. So it looks good right now. And so do the Giants. And the Giants are off to a very, very quick start. And winning 2 out of as they get ready to go to Philly, winning 2 out of 3 Yankee Stadium is a big deal. That's a big deal for them. It really is. So they're off to a very, very good start. As we said, this week, a lot of NBA, a lot of Knicks, a lot of into exactly, and I have some, I think people are underrating Cleveland. I think they're dramatically underrating Cleveland. Number one, I'll get into that. And I told you I have some very pronounced thoughts about the Knicks, which I will get to also. And then obviously we are then moving right into the NFL draft, which is right around the corner. So, and then the week after that, it's the Kentucky Derby. So you got playoffs, you got hockey, but you got basketball, which is going to be obviously featuring the Knicks, which is going to be a very big deal. And then you have the NFL draft right around the corner. And then after that, you have the Derby the week after. So there's a lot going on as we go forward. So we have plenty to do. So the Masters held your attention. It was a different day today than we probably thought we would get. Early on, I thought we were going to get that confrontation between DeChambeau and McIlroy. We didn't get it. But it still wound up being extremely dramatic, which the Masters has a habit of doing. Even though it was some awful golf that created that scenario, hey, it is what it is. Rory, like I said, made 2 or 3 plays today that made you shake your head, and he made 3 or 4 that were as good as it gets. That was his round. And it was enough to get him, a sudden death win over one of his Ryder Cup buddies in Justin Rose. I felt bad for Rose, as I said, but he was every bit the gentleman. He's lost a lot of playoffs. Some guys have a habit of doing that. We'll see you later.